Tonight, emergency crews desperately trying to get control of a potentially deadly situation with a controlled detonation. For 3 days, warning residents the burning wreckage of a freight train could explode, sending shrapnel and toxic fumes a mile in every direction over a rural Ohio community.
It's kind of crazy for a small town like this.
Thousands of residents under a mandatory evacuation order. Police going door to door, threatening families with children with arrest if they don't leave.
Police car came up and said, evacuate, evacuate, evacuate now, get out, get out.
Friday night, as many as 50 of the train's 150 cars derailed en route from Illinois to Pennsylvania. Today, the response focused on 5 cars carrying hundreds of thousands of pounds of vinyl chloride used to make PVC pipes and vehicle upholstery, and also linked to increased risk of cancer, according to the CDC.
This is a matter of life and death. This controlled release will actually take place, and you are in imminent danger.
Officials again warning residents to stay away as they use small explosives to blow holes in the train cars, hoping the hazardous material will seep into ditches where it can be burned safely away.
We want to be able to control that situation. That's the safest way, is to control the situation, and that's with this operation we're going to take this afternoon.
Tonight, railroad officials declaring that operation a success, apparently easing the threat to this community as residents await word that it is safe to go back home.
The death toll in Turkey now stands, and Syria now stands at more than 7,500 people after 2 powerful earthquakes hit those countries, and that number is rising by the hour. Right now, nearly 25,000 rescue workers are digging through the rubble to try and save those trapped, and time is not on their side. In Syria, workers pulled out children who had been trapped for more than 30 hours. Gosh, that video is so hard to look at. But it is some good news amid all of the devastation. Joining me now from Ankara, Turkey, is NBC News foreign correspondent Matt Bradley. Matt, set the scene for us.
Well, actually, Katie, I'm in Adana right now in southern Turkey, and as you can see behind me, this rescue effort is still ongoing, still incredibly desperate. Now, we've been here at this site all day, and when we arrived earlier in the afternoon, there were mostly just ordinary people, folks from around the neighborhood who were piling on top of this wreckage, and there were some professional emergency workers here too, but they were trying with their bare hands to try to lift huge blocks of concrete, trying to burrow through, trying to find signs of life, anybody who's around. And it only was in the last couple of hours that we've seen real authorities come in and take control of the situation. They told a lot of those volunteers to go home, gratefully. And then now it's really, their effort has been really making a dent, more than we saw before, in this wreckage. But we haven't actually seen any living people pulled out of this wreckage. But it's clear from what we've seen today and from what we're hearing about from the rest of the country that this situation has overwhelmed Turkish authorities. And this is 2 twin earthquakes, really more than just an aftershock. It is 2 separate earthquakes that happened yesterday that has just been so devastating for so many people, both here and in neighboring Syria. And that's one of the reasons why it sounds like President Erdogan has announced a 3-month state of emergency. Now, it was unclear exactly what he meant by this, what that would entail. Curiously, that 3-month state of emergency will go right up until May, right when he's expecting to run for presidential elections. This man has been in power here in Turkey for the past 20 years. But really, still, we're seeing a lot of hope. A lot of folks here are still trying to pitch in, even though this has mostly been taken over by professionals. There are young men around who are waiting in line to be picked by authorities so they can climb on top of the rubble and, again, with their bare hands, try to assist some of the more professional rescue workers in removing some of this debris. There isn't a whole lot of hope here, Katie, that they're still going to find people alive. But there is news, as you mentioned, from Syria and here in Turkey, that they still are finding people who are alive under this rubble. And so that's one of the reasons why so many people are so desperate to help out. Katie?
Matt Bradley in Adana, Turkey. Matt, thank you very much for joining us.
Elena Poliakova, president and CEO of the Center for European Policy Analysis. She has done extensive reporting on Putin and his inner circle. So, Alina, I'm glad to have you back. You know, we just played that sound a moment ago from Putin's alleged girlfriend, mother of multiple of his children, and I want to play it again.
Information work under the conditions that we are currently living and as we fight for our country is like a weapon of war. And in terms of significance, it holds no less value than a Kalashnikov.
What is she really saying here?
Well, I think a few things. One, the whole idea that information warfare or the use of disinformation is part and parcel of how Russia engages in war. It's not just about the tanks. It's not just about the Kalashnikovs, as she says. It's also about skewing the narrative and skewing the very idea of what's happening in Russia's war against Ukraine. This is nothing new. She's really reconfirming what has been official Kremlin policy. I think the second takeaway here is something that she alludes to, which is, of course, that we are looking at almost a year since Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine. And I think she says at the beginning that we need this win, something along those lines. And what she's really saying there is this war for Russia, the war that Putin have launched against Ukraine, is really an existential war for Putin and for Russia itself. And many Russians today inside of Russia do believe that this is a war that they have to win. It's a nationalist war. They believe, wrongly, of course, that Mr. Putin is protecting them.
And Alina, for anyone who had hoped that maybe she would have, I don't know, turned sides or just decide to remain in Switzerland, you know, this obviously shows that's not the case. It took a long time for the United States to put any sanctions on her whatsoever. They finally did. They thought it would make, be too incendiary to Putin, but she is now sanctioned. How influential is she? Does she carry much sway? Obviously, you know, we know who she seems to be vis-a-vis him. And then along with that, she got these titles, you know, like head of some of these crucial media companies.
Well, to be clear, she's definitely a known name in Russia. I mean, she's Putin's girlfriend, mistress, whatever you want to call her. So for that reason, whatever she says does get reported in the Russian tabloids. But in terms of having political influence, she really doesn't. I mean, she is here basically reframing, repeating what is a Kremlin talking point, but she is a recognizable name. Of course, the sanctions have probably forced her to go back to Russia and leave what we believe was a very opulent lifestyle she was living in Switzerland, where she now is the chair of this new media group, but everyone knows inside of Russia that she's only there because she is the mother of Putin's children. So she gets paid millions of dollars for basically doing absolutely nothing except making a few PR appearances here and there.
Amazing. All right, Alina, thank you very much. Good to see you again, and thanks.
Thanks, Erin.
And last night, Republican House Speaker Kevin McCarthy gave a prebuttal of the president's speech, placing the blame for inflation on Democratic policies.
Thanks to 4 years of runaway spending by the Democrats, they increased annual discretionary spending by $400 billion. Now, President Biden wants Congress to raise the debt limit yet again, without a single sensible change to how government spends your hard-earned money. None. Does that sound responsible to you?
I want to bring in ABC News business reporter Alexis Christoforous now for more on this. Alexis, the president is going to get up today and talk about how his policies have helped the economy and how the policies he wants passed in the future will help the economy. Republicans were already hearing them say that his policies have actually done the opposite. They've hurt the economy. What's the reality check here? How have this administration's policies impacted the economy?
There have been lots of impact. I think it's up for debate what kind of impact it's had. It probably is going to fall on what part of the aisle, what side of the aisle you fall on. But if you take a look at the numbers, a lot of the gains that he's made really are building on what his predecessor, Donald Trump, did. So he'll be touting the strength of the job market tonight for sure. Since taking office over the past 2 years, the economy has added 12 million jobs, 800,000 of those in manufacturing alone. We've also seen historic unemployment in this country for all. Now the unemployment rate at a 53-year low, but also historic unemployment for Hispanics and also for black workers. He's also going to try to gain historically good unemployment, exactly. And he's going to try to gain support for the war in Ukraine, which has become very expensive for our country as well. Remember, it's a big reason why energy prices were so high. That is another thing he'll tout, that gas prices have come down so much. Remember, gas nationwide was over $5 a gallon in June. It's now at about $3.45.
Now, in last year's State of the Union address, the president made bringing prices down one of his central goals. Has he delivered?
A little bit. So inflation is coming down. It's easing. It's moving in the right direction. It was at 9.1% in June. It's now at 6.5%, so it is still high. But what you even heard Senator McCarthy discuss there is that the policies that Biden instituted just made inflation that much worse. We had the American Rescue Plan, which was basically giving Americans money to go out and spend and juice the economy, but they were doing it at a time when supplies were very low. So that actually made prices higher. So I don't think it's as grim as a lot of Americans are making the economy out to be, but I don't think it's the flawless economy that Biden will be touting tonight.
All right. Alexis Christoforous, great to have you. Thank you.
Thanks.
And we will have full coverage of President Biden's State of the Union address. Tune in tonight, 7 p.m. Eastern, right here on ABC News Live.